Then, the nightcap is in the Big Ten as USC takes on Nebraska. Catch the big games on VTRN Sports, powered by ESPN Radio, 93.3 FM, 1320 AM, the VTRN Sports app, and ask your smart speaker, open VTRN Sports.
You're stepping into the fast lane on the VTRN Sports app, 93.3 FM and 1320 AM, Lynchburg, or by asking Alexa or Google Home, open VTRN Sports Lynchburg. Now, take the fast lane through the topics that matter across the Commonwealth. This is the Fast Lane with Ed Lane.
What in the world was that? Seriously, what in the world just happened today? In case you're hiding under a rock, you can check out Fastlane Ed Lane, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I haven't put anything up about it on Twitter or X. I don't know whether I would get in trouble for doing this or whether I would get instant kudos and praise from Elon Musk, who is the founder of Twitter or X. I don't know which one. I'm not really sure whether he would approve of this or whether Elon Musk would be distraught. Because somehow, look, first of all, context in the Fastlane. And we're not going to fully take a detour because we warned you at Fastlane Ed Lane, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, in our pre-show rundown. But
time to take a detour in the Fast Lane.
We are taking a detour because we generally talk sports here in the Fast Lane. But for part of the reason is there are certain sports media people where it's like they really want to not be sports media people. They'd rather be political opinionators, and they just can't help themselves, so they always interject politics into the sports discussions. You probably know who I'm talking about. They have their own followings, but over time it wears people out. Jamel Hill, Dan Lebitard, Clay Travis, who actually just went the political route. Stephen A. Smith is the latest example, and I think I just knocked off a couple that are on the right and a couple on the left, so voila. Like always, we offend everybody here in the Fast Lane. We're not that source. Look, I'm pretty libertarian. I've mentioned that before. So by and large, I am fiscally conservative, socially more liberal, and I have my own moral convictions when it comes to social issues, but I am not one to believe that elected officials are people that I'm sitting there going, oh yes, they're the ones that should aspire to be our bastion for moral codes and conduct, even if they put legislation or rules into place. Just my 2 cents. So that's part of the reason why I like sports. It's been a path to be able to steer clear of the mess that, generally speaking, is politics. And yet, over the weekend, I get an email. And I can only imagine, like most people probably would have responded to this immediately. I took over 24 hours to respond. Like, no joke. I took over 24 hours to respond to an email from people that I've conversed with before on different business-related matters. Not politically related, not covering news on the news side of things at the Virginia Talk Radio Network. We have a great staff of people that do that, including Bill Trafuro, your news update reporter, among others. But that's kind of their alley, the news commentary. So actually, I asked them what questions I should ask. Gary Burns, our fearless leader, who has been in the news talk sphere and has done very well in terms of programming, selling, understanding what connects with the news talk audience. Like I asked them more about how I should conduct the interview I did today with Eric Trump, the son of President Donald Trump. Because, generally, I had no clue what to ask. Like, I didn't know until doing my research that this guy had just written a book. Like, I genuinely did not know. Like, even more so, I'm hiding under a rock. Apparently, it's the bestseller, number one on the New York Times best-selling list. And it's not that I don't like the guy or that I love the guy or that I hate the guy. And I know a lot of people, you mentioned the name Trump or Kamala or Obama or Clinton or, Bush or any of those people. And people immediately gravitate to their opinions. Part of the reason why we don't discuss it in the Fast Lane. But I generally speaking, I know who they are. I try to be aware of the certain issues that pop up, but I don't, generally speaking, live and die on what these people say. My faith is rooted in Jesus Christ and my Christian faith. For me, it's not for everybody. I get that. But for me, it helps bring me a sense of peace and calmness that what happens in elected officials. Doesn't mean it's not important, but I don't live and die with it the way that some people do, including a lot of people in my family are very Christian based, and they literally do live and die, some on the right, some on the left, with what happens. Like, they freak out based upon what happens. I'm interested. I pay attention. I'll pay attention next Tuesday for our Virginia election. I'll vote. I encourage you to do the same for whoever your candidate is. But then I'm going to wake up Wednesday and treat that day like I generally treat every other day, however the election goes. We're going to work. We're going to do what we got to do. Be an example to my family, my kids, hopefully be a supportive spouse to my wife, all those good things. So I generally don't. So all this is to say that, like, I get an email over the weekend, a media opportunity with Eric Trump. First of all, like, I thought it was a hoax. Like, I'm like Eric Trump. I'm like, okay, it's, it says it's from people involved with, the venture they have up in Charlottesville, the winery and the cidery. And I've dealt with them. I've made sales calls to them. Obviously, you never heard much about them because we've not partnered with them at the Virginia Talk Radio Network and InsaneRadioDeals.com. Although, full disclosure, it would be very logical for them. Probably have a lot of people in our audience that would love to support that particular avenue and hear more about what's going on up there. And we would welcome the opportunity, as we would for, I'll use the one down the street because Dave Matthews is kind of not, he's very liberal, whereas Trump is obviously on the right. Matthews is on the left. I'd welcome Dave Matthews vendor, and I would welcome an interview with him as much as I would with someone on the Trump side. Like, to me, I'd welcome them all. I'm an equal opportunity social media and content creator here in the fast lane. Like, I'm just, to me, to paraphrase Dan Lanning, they're fighting for clicks, we're fighting for wins. I'm fighting for clicks because they are wins. Like, that's it for me. So that's part of the reason for taking this opportunity today. And it was just fascinating. Like, the sociological angle of going up there for me is more of what it was. First of all, I'm grateful that after bugging the hell out of them, the staff at the winery and the cidery up there that bears the name of our 45th and now 47th president, that they were willing to at least invite me up to this. And I would have been the same if, let's just say the Clintons are somewhere in the area and they invited us up for that opportunity as well. I'd be more than happy to do that. Or again, Dave Matthews and his winery down the street wants me to join him and he'll say stuff about why he doesn't like the president. Hey, I welcome all those opportunities. We try to be, reasonable and open here in the fast lane, as long as you're not spouting legitimate hate and wishing hateful things on other people. That's kind of where we draw the line. So that's part of what happened. So I'm like, what the heck? Let's just take an opportunity. Part of the main reason is, like, we're trying to start a business partnership with all these people up there. Again, full disclosure, after visiting Trump Winery, I'm like, let's just drive down the street and see what's popping at Dave Matthews Winery. Because, why not? To me, it's all the same. You see red, you may see red, you may see blue. I just see green out of everybody. Dollar bills, y'all, as Kenny Powers would remind us.
Dollar bills, y'all.
So that's part of the reason for why I went. And you can judge for yourself on the interview today, but everything about the day unfolded exactly the way I would have thought it would have in terms of an elected official, with a couple of exceptions. One of them is, it was interesting. You pull up and you can see that, Eric Trump and his crew were clearly there because the cars are the obvious giveaway that there's a presidential figure around. The bulletproof glass on the windows, like, it's like, so I drive a Chevy Tahoe. If you would like one, you can visit our friends at Sheeler Motor Mile. They have some in stock, and it's worth visiting them at Sheeler.com, or just message us and we'll get you connected with people over there that would be glad to give you the personal experience that you deserve. So anyway, it doesn't look like the Chevy Tahoe that you could get from there. It looks different. It obviously has thicker pane glass all around. So at that point, I'm like, okay, they don't do that for your average person. Like, I'm going to speak in the third person for a second. Ed Lane ain't buying one of those. Like, I'm not going to have that made available. But if you're related to the president or you're part of his crew, an elected official, you get that type of Secret Service treatment. And then you walk in and there are Secret Service people clearly everywhere. They've got the earpieces in. They're all huddled up. They're looking around. They're protecting the room where, Eric Trump and his people, I don't know if they're family members, if they're business associates, if they're friends. Like, again, I don't know enough about this person to know, like, who he's hanging out with and what their particular roles are. I can identify Secret Service people. I can identify people that are media coordinating the event. I can obviously identify who he is, but like other people, you might be like, oh my God, that's so-and-so. Like, I mean, great. I'm glad you know that. Fantastic. But it's just fascinating to see that. And there are enough people around him that when he left the area and then he walked out to where we were going to conduct the interview, which was, probably about 2 football fields away, from the entrance to the dining area at the venue. It was it was fascinating because they had a motor coach that was the bulletproof casing for him to literally hop in and for them to pull around. And he just was like, you know what? I don't really want to do this. I'd rather just walk and enjoy the fresh air. And they were all just laughing like, didn't that just defeat the purpose of having the motor car right out front to be able to escort him here in a secure manner? And he's like, you know what? I'm not worried about it. Like, which on the one hand, like, I admire the fact that any person that there's that tied, the son of a president or the daughter of a president or, a former or current, high-ranking elected official, like anybody would have that attitude. Granted, you've got, again, an entire security entourage detail around you to make sure you're protected, but like they wanted to take the extra steps. And one of the security people was there and was just like, look, we're putting it out there, but there's a 50-50 chance that Eric Trump's just going to say, I'd rather get fresh air and I'd rather walk. And then we're going to just literally pull the car up behind him that he was supposed to be in. So if you zoom in closely on the photos at Fastlane, Ed Lane, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram for the show preview today, that's what you'll get. So I found the experiment fascinating. Again, I would go, whether it's a Trump family member, an Obama family member, a Clinton family member. I once saw laugh at you one about where this was. But when I was in Memphis, I went to go see Bill Clinton speak in a church in Memphis. I get the irony of it. Bill Clinton in a church, we can laugh about that separately. And the person that he was there with, I'm not joking, he was Willie Harrington, the former mayor of Memphis, who was elected for his 5th term by having 2 separate slogans. In one part of town, it was continuing progress. And in the other part of town, no joke, shake the haters off was his slogan. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This is the most ridiculous thing. I have shirts that say shake the haters off because that was one thing I had to do is get a shirt to commemorate the moment. And Bill Clinton was there and I went to see him in a church. Like, I'm just the type of guy where, again, I'm not super pro or super anti, but if you put me in a spot where it's like, hey, you're going to, especially, again, confessions here in the media to get our usher on for a second. But there are often opportunities for access that we get. Then that's going to be the case. Again, I still have no idea how they figure this out. I presume people in the Trump camp have, if not before, might in the future and probably are right now contributing to our great streaming metrics at VTRN Sports on the app, however you listen to us there, or ask your smart speaker, open VTRN Sports. And they're probably familiar with Fastlane, Ed Lane, and VTRN Sports on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook Live, and YouTube, because I would presume they're doing their due diligence and security to figure out who we are to vet us before they sent the invitations out this weekend. Again, everybody else is probably like, yes. And some people were super excited. I'm just like, great. But I take it as an opportunity. And I tell the candidate or the person that way. I told Eric Trump that straight up when I interviewed him today. I'm like, look, politics is really not my thing. Like, I know enough about it, but a lot of these are topics and questions that our new staff mentioned it's worth bringing up. And I know enough about it to not sound like an idiot, but I'm not going to sit there and just give you guided answers one way or the other because it's really not the area in which I delve, but I'm happy to provide the content because you may hear it in our news update. So I figured I'd explain what's going on for those that are curious because they've seen Fastlane Ed Lane on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube where we posted the interview and they're curious about this. Meanwhile,
after Ed's potentially unnecessary detour, let's get back on the road in the fast lane.
So after all of that, we will punt, pun intended, on something that took place, well, not exactly in Charlottesville, but pertains to Charlottesville. And that's the Virginia Cavaliers and their offensive issues, because we do want to get into the weeds on that, but we need a little bit more time. So we're going to plan to do that a little bit later in the fast lane if we get time today. If not, it'll be tomorrow. We've got Charity Waldron, Virginia Amateur Sports. She'll help us get back on the road in the fast lane around 5:25, 5:30 today, discussing the Star City Half Marathon in 10K. It is one of my favorite running events. I'm excited to run that in a couple of weeks and look forward to hopefully you joining us over there and being like some of our listeners who already have gotten those discounted entries, which, by the way, they are 62% off. The list price, which is already off the normal price, if you want to enter the Star City Half Marathon or 10K. InsaneRadioDeals.com. Tickets to Liberty Flames football, including the home game against Delaware this weekend or next weekend against, who is it next weekend for Liberty? It's I'm putting you on the spot, TJ, because I'm not doing my homework. I'm taking it one game at a time. And Kennesaw is the end of the year. They are both trap games. I'm going to rely on you to help fill me in. But You can get Delaware this weekend. You can get Kennesaw at the end of the year. You can get the other game next weekend that I somehow can't seem to remember that's a 1 o'clock kickoff. Missouri State. Thank you, TJ. All of them at InsaneRadioDeals.com. Meanwhile, if we have time, we'll get into the weeds on the Virginia Cavaliers, but there are games taking place this evening, and we get to that right now in...
It's time for Fast 5 at 5-ish. 5-ish minutes on 5 relevant topics done around 5 p.m.-ish. Ish, because our counting skills are kinda ish. Let's start with number 5.
JMU against Texas State this evening. It's one of those Sun Belt midweek matchups. Duke's favored by 7 points, 55.5 is the point total. Again, I don't have a real conviction on how this game is going to go in terms of the game flow. If I had to give a guess, I would lean toward Texas State covering, even with JMU coming off the bye after the emotional victory in the Royal rivalry against ODU, because James Madison, they are on the road. They've got another one next weekend at home against Marshall. But I think JMU will control the game flow of this one. Texas State, though, have been very adept at moving the ball offensively, and they have wrinkles with G.J. Kinney. I probably lean more toward the over than anything else because of the points that would likely be put up with JMU's offense seemingly firing on all cylinders, with Alonzo Barnett III running and now throwing the ball, or throwing and now running the ball with a greater level of comfort. If you made me pick on like a side, I think 7's probably the right number, but I'd lean Texas State just because I think this game could get a bit squirrely in terms of points, and I think Texas State can keep up with the Dukes in this one. Did you have a conviction on this either way, TJ?
No, I think JMU is the solid winner, but I do think Texas State can keep up with them.
Meanwhile, last night the Washington Commanders lost, and we'll get to that right now. I don't really put a lot of stock into this for one simple reason. I feel like I almost baked that performance in to my outlook on the Commanders. It came out today that Jaden Daniels is going to be back at practice for the Commanders, including starting this coming weekend for Sunday night's game against Seattle. A must-win for Washington, sitting at 3-5. If there's a quarterback and a player that has what it takes, I still think it's there with Jaden Daniels. But my biggest concern remains the defense. I know they only gave up 28 points to Kansas City, but did it ever feel to you, TJ, whether it's watching or having listened on the VTR and Sports app here in the greater Lynchburg area, did it ever feel like Patrick Mahomes and that Kansas City offense were not in control of this game?
In the first quarter, I felt like it. I felt like Mahomes with the first 2 picks, and then he started picking back up in the second quarter. I felt like Washington controlled the tempo up until that very point. And then I feel like, I don't know, I feel like Washington just lost steam. They kept up, scored a touchdown, and then after that, it went super downhill. You had Bobby Wagner trying to cover Rashee Rice. I don't know whose idea that was, but wasn't a good idea.
But it's been a coverage mix-up problem
Yeah.
for the Commanders. It's either coverage scheme or it is personnel. And I think there is some truth to this. You talk about the aging roster, and I think it has shown itself much more on the defensive side than offensively. Bobby Wagner was great last year, but it declines quickly for defenders because it's a read and react position. Marshawn Lattimore was grabby last year with A.J. Brown in particular. He's had even more problems this year, including against Dallas last week.
Oh, I felt like Lattimore was better last night than he's been all season.
I would concur with that. It's just, I think Kansas City is showing why they are the deserved favorites.
Yeah.
To be the Super Bowl champions this year is because they can win a number of ways. They were in control of that game.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes threw a couple of early interceptions, but settled down, and their defense bailed them out. And now we've seen a couple of times this year where it's the Kansas City offense which has come to life. And then we saw last night where their offense was more than efficient enough, but their defense really was the one that hung in there when the offense put them in precarious situations. It's the ability to win multiple ways that's such a crucial thing. And by the way, that will get tested this coming weekend when they are at the Buffalo Bills in a game that you'll be able to hear is game 3 of our quadruple header. I think we've got a Sunday morning game this weekend. It's the late Sunday afternoon game that you'll be able to hear right here on the VTR and Sports app. For Kansas City, I mean, they're in the thick of things, and when and where they play in the playoffs is irrelevant to me. But the Washington Commanders are the takeaway from last night because you knew it, but now at 3-5 in a defense that's been leaking oil for much of the year, by far, it's a much bigger concern for the Commanders. Meanwhile, speaking of concerns that you could have seen coming,
Number 3.
or as Kurt from Good Burger, RIP to Kurt, would say,
Well, I should have known.
Myles Garrett. I have no patience for this idea. Apparently, with the Browns at 2-6, Myles Garrett has said, quote, I'm frustrated. I would throw the whole performance, 5 sacks in the 32-13 loss at New England. I'd throw it all away for a win, end quote. You would? Because remember this past offseason, initially Myles Garrett wanted a trade. And then, magically, $40 million a year helped change his mind. Look, $30 to $40 million a year is an extra $10 million per year. And you stack that over a couple of years, and that's a lot of generational wealth that you can accrue for you and your family. I am not undermining that the way that some people are. But if winning was the primary objective, and you've been in Cleveland for about a decade now with Myles Garrett having seen how this Browns franchise operates, if it was all about winning, then you would have stuck to your guns and you would have gone the Micah Parsons route and forced a trade from Cleveland to some more desirable franchise like the Commanders, who are willing to give up quite a bit for Myles Garrett, or Philadelphia, who was interested. Remember, at the time, Green Bay did not have Parsons. They might have been more interested since Parsons was not deemed to be as available at that particular moment, among other potential suitors. The Detroit Lions might have been a fit as well for Myles Garrett. All of that's the case. So I do not buy Myles Garrett saying, I'd throw it all away or throw the whole performance away, 5 sacks, if it meant a win. Hey, you re-signed for an extra long-term deal in Cleveland where there are incentives baked in based on how you perform, in addition to a high amount of base salary and guaranteed money. If it was about more than that, you would have done something about it if you are Myles Garrett, and that's where I really just don't understand. Speaking of not understanding,
Number 2.
I don't understand the portion of NFL fans who are upset because, oh my gosh, Red Zone Channel initially promised no commercials and started the year with 90 seconds, which is how long commercials go on Rewind 1039, Lynchburg's Classic Hits, unlike all those other music radio stations where it goes on for like 8-minute commercial breaks and your commercial message is buried in there. Not on Rewind 1039. There are only 90 seconds of commercials. Same thing on Red Zone Channel. And gasp, TJ, that number has increased by 20 seconds.
Oh, we knew that was coming.
A minute, 50 seconds. Here's the thing. If you're talking about commercials at 3:45 and games are coming down to the wire in the early slate, this Sunday was the exception. Almost all of them were blowout games.
Yeah.
But normally I would be upset. But there are certain windows in there where you can sneak in commercials with full screen commercials.
The 4 o'clock slate.
The 4 o'clock slate is perfect. You're right on. How often in a 4 o'clock slate are there 3 games? And you may have 1 or 2 at halftime and the other's in a commercial break. Or the other time you can sneak it in is around 4:15 p.m. If all the early games have wrapped up and or they are blowouts and that 4:05 game is in a commercial break and the 4:25 games have not started, there's a route you can go for this too. Here's the other concept. Side by side. It's not as ridiculous as the people that want Will Stafford, God bless our friend at ABC 13 WSET, but they want him to go away because he's trying to tell you about tornadoes that are popping up, and the split screen means they don't get to enjoy the full NBA playoffs or whatever action is going on in sports on an afternoon during the springtime. Never mind, he's trying to help save your life if you need to seek shelter somewhere. Details aside. It's absolutely ridiculous. Or as the Three Stooges would ask,
Are you that dumb?
it really is. Split screens are doable too. Fans sometimes just have to find a way to complain, and they really just can't help themselves. Meanwhile, in
Number 1.
was that the death knell last night in the World Series? You'll be able to find out at 7 o'clock tonight when the Dodgers get ready to host the Blue Jays and trying to build on a 3-1 series lead or build on a 2-1 series lead tonight. I know this is going out on a real limb, TJ, but here's what I'll say. If the Dodgers win tonight, they're not only going to win the World Series, they'll finish it off tomorrow night. This is a mature team that is more talented, and they will not let it get back to Toronto. If Toronto's going to get it back, they have got to win tonight. And really, it felt like last night because I know last night was a 6-5 game, and it was an 18th inning walk-off home run. But you have chances here and there. Maybe not as many if you're the Jays as the Dodgers, but you're the underdog. You have to take advantage of your chances when you're a prohibitive underdog. You see this in so many sports so often. If you're the team going up against the Alabamas, Georgias, or Ohio States in college football, or the Dukes, Kansases, or the Villanovas in college basketball, or the Djokovic, or now when you're talking in tennis, Sinner and Alcaraz. If you're the underdog, you get a finite amount of windows and you have to capitalize on them. And if you miss that opportunity, it may not come around. I personally feel like that's what happened last night. And I think the Dodgers are on their way to a 3-1 series win. But if they win tonight, it's going to happen.
Oh, it's going to be.
Because the Dodgers, they're smart enough to not let this get back to a raucous Toronto.
And if you talk about Toronto has a lot of players going into free agency too. So this might be their one window for a while.
It is. And that's the brutal reality of it is you don't have these windows that pop up very often, and it's why you
look
need
at
to
the
take
Texas
advantage.
Rangers 2 years ago.
Yeah, and to their credit, they capitalized on it. But since then, free agents popped up, and it makes it hard for these non-Dodger teams to keep up. And by the way, who knows how baseball is going to look after next year? I honestly, and I'm a Phillies fan, and they're in the haves category.
Are they trying to add a salary cap?
There's the talk of it, and the players are absolutely adamantly opposed to it.
Right? Yeah, like Bryce Harper.
Oh my gosh. I'm a minimum floor guy, though. As much as I want to see once that the Dodgers don't become the Dodgers, I want to prohibit franchises like the Pirates and the Rockies from being as delinquent and spending money and just ever caring about building a winner. Anyway, meanwhile, when we return to the fast lane, we will pivot off that to looking at events that you can control your outcome. The Star City Half Marathon and 10K with the president of the event, we call her that, Charity Waldron, who is the race coordinator for Virginia Amateur Sports and the Star City Half Marathon and 10K. She will join us next here in the Fast Lane, right here on the VTRN Sports app, and ask that smart speaker, open VTRN Sports.
And save more with exceptional service and selection. Your search stops here with over 900 pre-owned vehicles to choose from, plus a huge selection of new car brands in Southwest Virginia: Honda, Hyundai, Toyota, Subaru, Kia, Chevrolet, Mitsubishi, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. 11 new car brands, 900 used vehicles, all in one location. The Sheeler Motor Mile gives you more choices with pre-owned cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs. Many have miles in the teens, remaining factory warranties, and some are even local one-owner vehicles. More than any other dealer in the area, plus exceptional service, selection, savings, and financing options, and top dollar for your trade. Volume selling means volume pricing, and we've got the volume with 11 new car brands and over 900 used vehicles, all in one location. And we're proud to support our local schools and community. The Used Car Superstore on the Sheeler Motor Mile, your premier car dealer, locally and family owned for over 50 years. I-81 exit 118C in Christiansburg. Call 866-SHEELER1. Always open at Sheeler.com.
The Conference USA Women's Soccer Championship is coming to Lynchburg, hosted by Liberty University at Osborne Stadium, Sunday, November 2nd through Friday, November 7th. See the best in Division I college soccer. 8 teams battle for the CUSA title and a berth in the NCAA Women's College Cup. Adult tickets just $10 for each session before the championship game. $15 for the championship. Ages 3 to 17, just $5 for all sessions. CUSA students free with ID. Tickets at libertyflames.com/CUSAWsoccer.
In most things, it's hard to go from ordinary to extraordinary. It's easy with your home or business. Call the Concrete Wizard and transform your place into an extraordinary space. If you're tired of looking at unsightly concrete, then bring light to your old surfaces. Call the Concrete Wizard for free design consultations, free estimates, and fast professional concrete resurfacing. And visit theconcretewizard.com for ideas from other before and after photos.
Plenty of large insurance companies know something. If you're injured in an auto accident, it can feel overwhelming. They've defended themselves in thousands of personal injury cases while you've never been there. Thankfully, I have. Hi, I'm Dustin Rosser with Trost Law. I began my legal career defending insurance companies before joining Trost Law. I know how insurance companies think and how to navigate the complex legal system. So if you're injured and need someone to fight for you, just call me at 777-HURT and visit trostlaw.com.
Good to great. It's one of the hardest transitions to make. 801 Raw Bar has pulled it off. Their country boil bags have taken the good seafood and flavors from the Bayou region and brought them to the Hill City for a great seafood dish. You can also build your own seafood plates at 801 Raw Bar, featuring fresh shrimp, crabs, scallops, and fish from the Atlantic region. Step back into the relaxing beach house vibe with different regional seafood twists at 801 Raw Bar on Church Street in downtown Lynchburg.
Looking for everything happening in and around Central Virginia that used to be in the morning paper? Start your day at the lynchburgportal.com. Get the latest news updates from Bill Trevero, plus up-to-date weather from VTRN's own in-house meteorologist, Matt Ferguson. So you're always in the know before you head out the door. Want to listen on the go? Stream classic hits on Rewind 103.9. Get breaking local news on WIQO, or catch the best sports talk and play-by-play on VTRN Sports, powered by ESPN Radio, all right from the portal. Looking to save? Check out insane radio deals for great local discounts, or explore local podcasts featuring the voices and stories that make our community special. Plus, connect with local businesses through the Lynchburg Business Alliance directory and stay in the loop on the latest events from Lynchburg Tourism. It's all right here. Local news, weather, sports, deals, and more at the lynchburgportal.com, your gateway to everything Lynchburg. Virginia's source for sports. VTRN Sports, 93.3 FM and 1320 AM Lynchburg.
Step into the Fast Lane 24/7 at Trey Lyle VT and Fast Lane Ed Lane on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, back to the Fast Lane.
Is pretty please necessary? Is please necessary? Or is none of it necessary? That's the question we get to ask of Charity Waldron, who joins us now in the Fast Lane. She is the Operations and Media Relations Director for not only Virginia Amateur Sports, but also for the Star City Half Marathon and 10K. As we get ready to chat with her, Charity, thank you so much, first of all, for your time. Please is please. Do I need to say please, or is it already going to happen? The vendors that have been out previously, and particularly the delicious food that has been available for those of us that run the Star City Half Marathon or 10K as a post-race treat.
We've got it back, that's for sure. We've got Texas Tavern Chili like usual. And we've got some fun stuff in the works from our friends at Scratch Biscuits and some other local favorites. And I don't know if you saw it on social media, but we've got pickle juice on the course for the first time by popular demand. So we're trying to step it up a little bit.
Is there any truth to the rumor, Charity, that my experiences at race and the reputation that, shall we say, sometimes I look like I need some assistance toward the end of the race and at the finish line, did that factor into the decision, Matt Thompson, Fleet Feet Roanoke, bleeding that idea out for you guys?
It was not you. Did Matt throw you under the bus?
I have no idea, but, he always brings it up that I have a history of looking like I am, one step from having to be drugged from the start finish line over to the hospital across the way.
Well, you give it your all, that's for sure. But no, pickle juice, pickles, that family of products was mentioned several times on the survey. So I did some hunting and found some. So we're excited to have that on the half course.
So it's awesome though that you guys have come up with this concept. This has been an event that has evolved. Obviously, people know about the course evolution a couple of years ago, and now the Greenway has been a focal point for this course, but there are different parts of the Greenway that come about it. But before we delve into the race itself, all that surrounds it, how much has the spirit of not just Virginia Amateur Sports, but the Star City Half Marathon and 10K been about finding ways to make this a rather unique and different race experience that complements the fact that the Roanoke Valley has a lot of that to offer?
Yeah, that's a big piece of it. I mean, it's the Star City Half, 10K, and now Kids Fun Run. But, we want to showcase Roanoke. We've had to make adjustments over the years, but in making adjustments, we tried to add other pieces to it to, kind of make up for some of the changes that, may not be super desirable by everyone. But we've tried to, well, if we adjust here, then we'll give you this. And, we've tried to be different, tried to be fun. It's the third stage of the Triple Crown. So we want everyone to finish strong and finish well and have fun. So we've tried to do what we can.
I know of some people that are going for one of those medals in the Triple Crown. A good buddy of mine, Tyler, who's a real strong runner, had a really strong showing. He won the Salem half marathon. He finished strong in the Blue Ridge. I think he ran the half marathon, and I think he'll probably do the Star City half marathon as opposed to the 10K coming up. He's part of that. I've been in this now. This is my first year. I'm going to go for the smaller version of it. I guess I have to since I did the Blue Ridge 10K and the Star City 8K. How much, though, have those variations? The fact that the Star City half marathon 10K, both of those events are part of the Blue Ridge Triple Crown, have been something that has helped give this event more juice over the last handful of years.
Yeah, so when the Triple Crown started a handful of years ago, it certainly elevated all of our races, right? Like the April race, the Blue Ridge, the Salem, and us. And with us being the weekend before Thanksgiving, it's a little cooler sometimes. Sometimes it's not.
Roll the dice.
Right. When we're setting up that morning, it's pretty chilly. But I think the Triple Crown aspect of, doing all three has helped all three races, right? It's like a brother sister thing. And it's really exciting to be a part of it. And I mean, it's serious business to do all three of those races, whether it's the 10K, 8K version or the half version. My hat's off to all of you. I will hand you your medal, and that's my contribution.
You'll admire the fact that we look like we have just exhausted ourselves, which is probably
absolutely
true. But that's the beauty of these type of events, Charity, and the satisfaction, having done these before is, and I can speak for myself, but I'm curious if the feedback that you've gotten from people, particularly first-time runners of the Star City Half Marathon and the 10K, is the fact that everybody runs their own particular race. I know I say this often, but I think it's what makes racing so unique. Everyone's at a different stage in what their racing goal journey is, but it's such a warm, welcoming environment and community where people generally are supporting each other no matter what their desire is, even if maybe they're competing at the same time.
Oh, 100%. I feel like the vibe, if you will, is very supportive. It is 100% a community atmosphere. We're hoping to have the cheerleaders out there again at the finish line. So, we think it truly, we love seeing the people out there on the course with the signs and cheering everybody on. And I think, just it brings everybody together. It is a community thing. And, when one of us wins, we all win, right? And so I think running for PRs or just running to finish, I think it's awesome all the way around.
It's really cool. And by the way, I was pumping my fist for those that are not watching at VTRN Sports and Fastlane Ed Lane on Facebook Live and YouTube, because the cheerleaders are a really cool addition as well to this race. You've got that. You've got some of the local sororities that have also been there at the finish line and have offered home-cooked meals and treats for people afterwards. How much of the mission for you, Charity, for Dan, for Diane, for your team at Virginia Amateur Sports has been to bring the community into this event in a way that distinguishes the Star City Half Marathon and 10K from other events in the region and frankly, throughout the country, because you rarely see the group of cheerleaders as well as different organizations offering specialty home-cooked meals?
Yeah, 100%. We're a grassroots organization, right? So we're all about the community in general. And so we've got local businesses on the course running hydration stations. We've got 2 local high school basketball teams that run hydration stations on the course. The cheerleaders along the start finish to get everybody going. The Delta Sigma Theta alumni chapter, sorority handling the food and all of that is, that's big pieces of the Roanoke community, the Roanoke Valley, and obviously Fleet Feet partnering with us as well. And we've got a couple of other local businesses that'll be with us. But, it's very much a community vibe. We want people to hang out. We want people to have a good time. And just, fellowship, for that Southern, my official Southern word, for lack of a better term. But
it's true. Like that's part of what makes so many events as cool as they are, is the fellowship component to it. And, I know one of the cool angles to that as well, and you talk about vibes, and we can laugh about that at times. Charity is Charity Waldron, Director of Operations and Media Relations for Virginia Amateur Sports and the Star City Half Marathon and 10K, is with us. But you've had DJs, you've had bands that have been playing. You've found a way to create a vibe at the start-finish line for before and after the race, but also on the course where different people are out there and really helping to spice up the Greenway and make it a fun place to be on what, as you noted a moment ago, might be a chilly Saturday morning.
Yeah, I think, and each aid station tries to do their own thing and add their own element to it. And, just, it's probably going to be cold. It's the Saturday before Thanksgiving. Everybody wants to watch football. So we want it to be somewhere where people are excited to be there. They're not going, oh, I have to go run a half marathon. They're like, oh, I get to go do this morning. I'm sure they probably feel a little bit of both. But I always love it when I'm handing out bibs and stuff that morning of people so excited because it's their first half or their first 10K, or and they're just so excited because they've heard such good things about the race and about the environment that they chose us to be their first race. And that makes me feel good that we're doing it right.
Charity Waldron hanging out with us today in the fast lane. By the way, a little public service announcement to plan ahead. First of all, you're home for Virginia Tech football games, VTR and Sports app. You can boo them if you're a West Virginia fan, like our guest might be, Charity Waldron, friend of ours here in the fast lane, regardless of what team you support. But, I admire you and your fans in West Virginia. And if I ever need to get rid of furniture, I know I can call you up and you can help me find a way to dispose of that. We say that with love, Charity. But Virginia
It's an emotional roller coaster. It's an emotional roller coaster.
It is. But for those that are mentioning college football on that Saturday, Virginia Tech will be playing Miami that Saturday. And, if it's an earlier game or even a mid-afternoon game, what better way than to go over, run a race, and then when you get done, run right down and enjoy some football in Blacksburg as well for that particular day. So that's another way to look at this. Or if you're not looking to run the race, either one of them, Charity, volunteering. I know I can say this every single time, but I love and appreciate the volunteers because they make it so much easier from packet pickup to the start of the race to, yes, different spots and ending of the race. How can people get involved?
Yeah, there is a link on the registration form and on our website to volunteer and get involved. And once you pop up on that list, we will get you plugged in and reach out. We always need help. I feel like every event always needs volunteers, regardless of, what it is in the community. So it's an opportunity to cheer people on and have a good time and, get a little snack while you're there.
It is. It's a good way to do it. Charity Waldron with us here in the fast lane. Charity, we will wrap it up not on that note because it is always important for people to volunteer. And I say that as someone who, again, races and appreciates volunteers. But the Star City Half Marathon and 10K, the course itself, it's an out and back course. The half marathon, there's some hills that go through neighborhoods. There's a little slick part where it might be a little bit slick on the bridges, especially early in the morning with it potentially being really cold. Meanwhile, the out and back part of the Star City 10K, it's flat, it's fast, but it's one that can test your desire to put some speed down too.
I will take your word for it.
Indeed, you will. Charity Waldron with us here in the Fast Lane. Charity, great to chat with you. Thank you so much for making some time for us. We really do appreciate you and look forward to being a part of this event once again.
Yes, we will see you soon. Thanks.
Charity Waldron with us here in the Fast Lane to discuss that. We're going to go a little bit differently because we're having some technical challenges. We are going to go potentially commercial free, and instead we are going to go straight in to our chat with the Liberty Flames reporter for AseaofRed.com, Jon Manson. We'll get to him momentarily. I did it could have been InsaneRadioDeals.com, but it was a TrostLaw.com fast take for the Liberty Flames. I think it's reasonable to say two things. It's a bit of a mystery what version of Liberty is going to come out of their bye week from that midweek on the mountain game 2 weeks ago, the victory 30-27 against New Mexico State. How the Flames defense will handle an even more targeted passing attack. New Mexico State had success throwing it when they wanted to, and Logan Fife looked masterful with some of his accuracy. But, Delaware even more targeted in throwing the football. But I am curious to see what you'll get from Liberty's offense in particular. Do you get more tempo and no-huddle looks like we got on that final drive and resulted in a 13-play, 92-yard game-winning touchdown drive for the Liberty Flames? Do you get a little bit of it sprinkled in? If I had to guess, it'd probably be some, but not all the time. And what does Ethan Vasco look like now that he's had a chance to heal up and you would think maybe get a reset and grasp where he is within the construct of the Flames offense? So we get to all of that with Jon Manson. Is he ready for us, by the way, from AseaofRed.com? Not just yet. Almost to get to Jon Manson from AseaofRed.com here in the Fast Lane as we work through things. We got him! Jon Manson. Yes, Technical Issue Tuesday. We have worked through that, John. A pleasure to be speaking with you. There's the defense, there's the offense of what you'll get with the Flames. Starting with the offense, how much do you anticipate that this Flames offense will look more in sync now that a lot of these newer pieces have had a full bye week to hit the reset and figure out what they can do offensively for the final 5 games of the regular season?
Well, more than just a bye week, they had, over 2 weeks off, 17, 18 days off between games. So it's almost like a mini training camp, in between these 2 games, not playing since October 14th and then obviously not again until Saturday, November 1st against Delaware at Williams Stadium. And it's really interesting. I'm really intrigued to see what this Liberty football team looks like. If it's more of the same of what we saw in the first 7 games, particularly on the offensive side of the ball, then they're going to struggle to get to 6 wins, which would require 3 out of the 5 games to be in the win column. But I think there's some chance for some margin of optimism that can be had, especially seeing what the Flames did in their last drive of the game. The last time we saw them, that 92-yard drive, 13 plays when the game was in the balance. I mean, they were losing and had to score a touchdown to get back in front against New Mexico State on that Tuesday night from Williams Stadium, and they did just that. And Ethan Vasco did not incomplete a pass. He was perfect on that drive. I believe it was 7 for 7, and found Dante Lee a few times and led to that touchdown run by Dickens. And if it's more of that, more tempo, get the ball out of Vasco's hands quick, get it into some playmakers' hands out on the perimeter, let them make plays. And we heard Vasco talk about that. Coach Chad will talk about that some today in their press availability this morning. And so we'll see. And you would think with, like we were talking about, 17 days off, that they would have time to get a little bit further into the playbook, get a little bit more comfortable with things that they're good at, where they've had success so far this season, and maybe shy away from things where they've struggled, and like I said, have a few more wrinkles and maybe spotlight a few more players. But I think this game will really be telling, especially for the offense, as far as can this unit turn a corner from where they've struggled the first half of the year to even get to 20 points in a game.
Jon Manson, ASeaofRed.com, with us here in the Fast Lane. John, I am not one of those crazed fans that @ Sea of Red on Twitter or @ JC Manson and believes we need to fire the coaching staff and have wholesale changes and totally just do away with the football program at this rate because you can't get anything right, all because it goes south for a small stretch of games in one season. However, if Liberty's offense continues to struggle out of the bye week, is it potentially a greater indicator that, yes, there might be some additional changes that might have to be on the horizon?
I mean, it's really an interesting situation because, you're talking about Jamie Chadwell, who's the offensive mind, Willie Korn, the offensive coordinator and play caller. I mean, this was a guy, Coach Korn 2 years ago was Liberty fans were scared they were going to lose him to the University of Florida as an offensive coordinator. I mean, that's the type of pedigree he had. And same thing with Coach Chadwell is his offensive schemes and systems and mind kind of got him to where he's at, to where he was mentioned for just about every P4 job opening. And if it wasn't for Liberty's struggles this season and even some last year towards the end of the year, he would be mentioned with all these jobs that are open currently. He would be mentioned once again. So, it's an interesting conversation. Like, I think, the way Liberty is resourced as a program, Coach Chadwell is the highest paid coach, not in a Power 4 level. And, just the overall resources and that Liberty puts into its football program and from staffing and facilities and all the above, that, that Liberty doesn't do that to, win 6, 7, 8 games a season. I mean, they do that to compete, not just for Conference USA championships, but to compete nationally to be the top group of 5 team each and every season. And that's not been what Liberty, has been these past 2 seasons. So, what does that mean, going forward? I think AD Ian McCaw and Coach Chadwell, if they haven't already over this 17-day break, we'll need to have some conversations, some tough conversations, make some tough decisions as far as what's going to happen moving forward and how to rectify things to where you're not just, back competing and winning Conference USA, but also competing on that national level. And, I think Coach Chadwell will get the benefit of the doubt just because of his success that he's had everywhere he's been, including at Liberty. With that 2023 season that made it to the Fiesta Bowl, but certainly some changes need to be made. But it's still, we still got 5 games left in the regular season, and Liberty's still still alive for a Conference USA championship this season. So we'll have to wait and see. And depending on how these next 5 weeks goes, that certainly can be something we can talk about more in detail late in the year or even in the off season.
Jon Manson with us here in the Fast Lane. John, there will be plenty of time to discuss all the direction. But I mean, are people also losing sight of the fact that this team still has 5 games left to go? There's the flip side. If this offense looks like it's better and looks like they're more in sync and have found things that work, and maybe that gives the defense confidence and they're able to start blossoming some as well, even with the unfortunate injury to Joseph Carter and the heart and soul of that defense, one of the 2 heart and souls of that defense now being off the field, that could change the trajectory, and all of a sudden Liberty might be able to win some games, maybe if not win Conference USA's championship, certainly get to a bowl game and have an entirely different vibe heading into the offseason.
Yeah, it certainly can. And you mentioned Joe Carter's injury and Brylan Green. I'm assuming is the second heart and soul piece you're talking about. They're both out, certainly for this week, and we'll see when Green gets back, probably sometime in the next few weeks. But that's a big loss. Those are big losses to have to overcome, and going up against the Conference USA's top passing offense in Delaware this week. The Flames will certainly be tested, perhaps unlike they've been tested all year in the passing game. ODU is arguably as good, if not better, than Delaware in the passing attack, but obviously the weather played a big impact on that game, so I'm not sure, that might have dampened some of, the Monarchs' success through the air, though they did have some. But yeah, I mean, if Liberty's able to get hot, and I don't think anybody that follows Conference USA and follows Liberty football would be totally shocked if the Flames continue to stay hot, no pun intended, and win their last 5 games, which would be a total of 7-game win streak And if they do that, more than likely they'll be in the Conference USA Championship. I mean, they need a little bit of help, but some dominoes have already fallen their way, and you never know if you get into a conference championship game against a Jack State or a Western Kentucky or somebody like that. You never know. One game, wouldn't count the Flames out, and certainly changes things. I mean, you can't forget the 4-game losing skid in September and losses to Bowling Green, JMU, and ODU. Those are things that Liberty doesn't want to have repeatedly. And like I said, the Flames expect to compete on a national level, and nothing they can do the rest of the way can fix that. But it would show that the coaching staff was able to make some adjustments and got the most out of the players that they have on the roster, and to keep things together after that 1-4 start, and hold them together and keep them moving forward, and gives you some hope moving into the off season and into next year. But obviously, Ed, a lot of football left to be played, and we'll see how the Flames handle themselves. It's a big game Saturday. You lose one more game, and you're probably out of the Conference USA Championship race.
Yeah, and then at that point, you're just finding ways to get some kind of momentum, and they're losable, but they're also winnable games over the remainder of the stretch. By the way, CJ Bazile joins Brylan Green. I should have mentioned the 3 heart and souls of that defense, but Joseph Carter is definitely one, and his injury is one that you no doubt believe the Flames will have an impact on for them. A couple questions before we wrap up our chat with Jon Manson from AseaRed.com, W227BG Timberlake, WVGM AM Lynchburg, WMNA Gretna Danville Southside. John, one of those questions for Liberty being offense difference. Do you expect to see? Nobody's going to pretend that this is going to go from being what Jamie Chadwell has been offensively to being some kind of version of the running shoot, or the fastest, the greatest show on turf in terms of speed. Do you expect, though, maybe some wrinkles of tempo being thrown in at times, given how successful it was on that final drive against New Mexico State?
Yeah, I certainly think that we'll see some wrinkles, more than just the tempo aspect. I think we'll see some other things. We saw that after what was it, about a 10-day break they had after the ODU game going into the UTEP game. And you saw a few wrinkles there, particularly on that opening drive out in El Paso. And I think you'll see more, maybe even some that last longer than just the opening drive. And I do expect the tempo piece to at least be played with, kind of see. We haven't seen much of that from Liberty this year. Obviously, they were going into 2-minute offense there late, trying to go 90-plus yards like we talked about to get that winning touchdown score. We haven't seen much like that, 2-minute offense from them. No huddle or working at pace. So, but at the same time, they had success there. But at the same time, the New Mexico State defense was playing a little soft, backing off, letting them dink and dunk their way down the field. So, we'll see. And I would expect Liberty to at least try that at some point in time Saturday against Delaware, just to see what they have with it, maybe to keep the defense off balance and guessing what's coming. And we'll see. I don't think it's been something Coach Chadwell's done a lot in his history. He has been more the ground and pound type of attack, but I don't think anybody is expecting Liberty to go out and put up lots of numbers running the ball like they did the last 2 years with Quentin Cooley and behind a talented offensive line. A lot of those guys now at the P4 level. So yeah, I would expect some wrinkles in some play calls, some design, and as well as tinkering with the speed of play, pace of play, and if they have success with tempo, we'll probably see more and more of it as we get deeper into November.
John, you've got the Know Your Foe piece at AseaRed.com on the Delaware Blue Hens. If New Mexico State threw the football with the level of accuracy they did, I think it's hard to stop anybody on some of those throws that were just really well placed from Logan Fife. How much more, though, do the Flames need to be on alert for Delaware's passing game, considering that is seemingly even more of a strength for the Blue Hens than it was for the Aggies? Yeah, definitely. And kind of like I was talking about a little bit earlier, is Liberty hasn't really been tested much in the passing game. I mean, some here and there in Old Dominion, like I said earlier,
is the one caveat to that. But teams, Liberty's mainly faced teams that were more run dominant on the ground. You think about a Jacksonville State and a Bowling Green coached by Eddie George. These teams are more, certainly UTEP wanted to run the ball more than pass it with the interceptions they've thrown throughout the season. So these teams have been mainly content to run the ball, whether with their quarterback or with their running backs, and had a lot of success. I mean, we were talking earlier in the year about how porous the Liberty defense has been against the run. So why go away from it when you're having success? So this may be the biggest test, probably is the biggest test that Liberty has seen to this point in time as far as the pass defense goes. So, we mentioned the injuries. Obviously, Broderick Green's still not there, and Joe Carter, the quarterback of the defense, the green dot, quote unquote, where he's getting communication from the coaching staff on the field. He's out, so be some new faces there. Aiden Vaughn will be most likely the first one up to don the green dot and kind of be that quarterback of the defense. But he had some struggles early in the season, lost some playing time as the year went on. So we'll have to see. It'll certainly be a big test for this passing defense, and some new faces out there getting additional snaps, more so than we've seen the first 7 games of the season so far.
Here's your question that you can pose at a Sea of Red on Twitter and get people riled up, but maybe in a good way for basketball season, John. Talon Peter was on the opening night roster for the Indiana Pacers last week. He also saw time and made his way into the box sheet for the Pacers last week. Which of those is more meaningful in terms of what it says about Richie McKay and Liberty men's basketball?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty remarkable the run Peters had, and I'm sure some stories have been and can be written about his rise, not just from Liberty, the NBA, and, coming as a Liberty's 6th man to being drafted to making the opening night roster for the Pacers. But also, he was a guy that, made his mark at the Division II level most of his career, and took advantage of his COVID year of eligibility and was able to transfer to Liberty for that final season of eligibility, and took advantage and showed his efficiency and his ability to be a great teammate. Unfortunately, he's got a little bit of an injury and has missed the last 2 or 3 games for the Pacers. So, but he's on that 2-way deal, so I'm sure he'll be with them some. And when he returns, he'll probably also see some time in the G League as well too. But it just goes to show what Coach McKay has done, the job he's done guiding the Flames, and we'll get to see the new look of the Flames Monday night at Liberty Arena, and should be a good weekend. Weekend after this coming weekend of basketball at Liberty Arena with Charleston coming in and also FAU for the Field of 68 showcase. Should be some good basketball over at Liberty Arena that weekend, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you over there at like you like to call it, right, Bel Air, right?
Yes, you teed me up for the sound effect to come in with Jon Manson. John, we will wrap it up on this. Liberty, the women were picked 2nd. They had a couple of representatives on the All-Conference USA watch list. I don't call it teams because when you go over 5 and certainly over 6 with a 6th man or woman, it's a little much. But they had some represented on the watch list. And the men, they were projected first, and the 3 obvious ones that made it on the watch list are Cleveland Porter and Matheny from men's basketball. Reasonable for the Lady Flames and for the men's team as well, preseason expectations?
Yeah, I mean, I think we got to the point where we can almost throw some of these preseason polls just out the window. I mean, we've seen that in football. A lot of them went away from that. They went to the bowl confidence index, which everybody had in Conference USA. Liberty had a 100% chance, and maybe we need to go away from that as well too. It's just so hard to know what to expect out of each team every season because the rosters turn over so much. Even Liberty men's basketball with that big 3 returning, Porter, Matheny, and Cleveland. Yes, you know what to expect out of them, but the rest of the roster really was overturned. I mean, you got a couple other returners, Brett Decker and Xander Yates, but other than that, you got a lot of new faces, and fans will, going out to Liberty Arena next week, we'll have to pay special attention to the roster sheet and who these new names and new numbers are as we kind of learn them. But that's how it is for everybody in college sports right now. Football, basketball, it doesn't matter. Men's and women's as well, too, on the court. So, it's reasonable to expect the Flames to compete at the top of the conference standings. But honestly, we don't really know what to expect out of many of these teams, not only the Liberty teams, but the rest of Conference USA with so many new faces and guys that come out of nowhere seemingly to become all-conference performers. So it's not until – the good thing about basketball is there's a lot of games to be played. And by the time you roll around to, late December and January when conference play is starting, you probably got a pretty good idea of, who the contenders are, where in football, it's, we're entering the end of October, the start of November, and there's probably a few teams around, many of these conferences, including Conference USA, that we're still trying to figure out, exactly who is the real team, a real version of certain teams. And you probably throw Liberty in that category as well, too. So preseason expectations, it's a difficult game to play right now, and setting season win totals and things like that, I would shy away from that. Just so much unknown in college sports on teams' rosters year to year.
Very well said, as the words are well written at aseaofred.com. Jon Manson with us here in the Fast Lane. Jon, thank you for your time. Greatly appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on, Ed.
Jon Manson with us here in the Fast Lane. Meanwhile, we appreciate your time as well. We will be back tomorrow afternoon, 5 to 6 p.m. Some high school sports talk. And yes, TJ Wilkerson will have you Thursday and Friday. In the meantime, 7 o'clock tonight, can the Blue Jays pull it back to a series, or did the Dodgers get one step closer to closing this thing out in the World Series? Find out right here on the VTR and Sports app and 93.3 FM. Now, on to Freddie and Harry in progress.
In that movie, so that's my scary movie today. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's definitely a good movie, but I didn't view that one as scary.
No,